Has it ever happened to you that despite putting in efforts and having so much potential, you mess up an opportunity only to carry that frustration tagged to your name for a long time? Well, Josh Trank must have gone through that experience after the unimpressive performance of his much-anticipated reboot of Fantastic Four released in 2015. It was expected to be a fun, emotional, and action-packed adventure, which unfortunately turned out to be a grim and joyless experience, much to everyone's disappointment. Today on Marvelous Videos, we'll delve deeper into a chain of events that was sparked by the now infamous tweet from the young director, which landed like a bombshell just a day before the movie's release. And if you enjoy our content, don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Ambitious reboot, Josh Trank's vision. Josh Trank gained the reputation of being the youngest person ever to open a film at #1 at the box office at the age of 26 in 2010. Chronicle was about 3 high school students who gained superhuman powers, but the consequences rattled their lives. His creative choice of using the found footage style earned him critical praise for directing this micro-budget film, which grossed $123 million worldwide. The film was also praised for its tight character focus, gritty realism, and emotional depth. Josh Trank became the new sensation whose energy attracted many studios. Sony offered him Venom, whereas Warner Brothers wanted him to work on Red Star, a spy thriller film. Trank worked on the adaptation of a popular video game, Shadow of the Colossus. And the most impressive, he got a Star Wars movie. His life became nothing less than a pleasant dream, bringing various positive changes. He said goodbye to alcohol, bought his favorite car, and found a companion whom he later married. Another golden opportunity arrived at Trank's door in late 2012 when Fox Studios offered him a reboot of Fantastic Four. In the mid-2000s, 2 films from the franchise, starring Chris Evans and Jessica Alba, failed to show their magic on the big screen. They couldn't beat Christopher Nolan's gritty version of Batman, despite the backing of the exceptionally talented Akiva Goldsman, writer of I Am Legend, and the team that worked on Thor in 2011. Trank jumped on that opportunity with not only a vision, but was also given creative authority by the studio. Simon Kinberg was then onboarded as both producer and screenwriter. According to early reports, the film was expected to fall between the spectrum of Chronicle and Spider-Man. The makers prioritized the grounded tone of the movie over its grand spectacle. The original Fantastic Four comics, published in 1961 and created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, showcased adventure and optimism. The brother-sister-like bond between the primary characters, Johnny, Ben, Sue, and Reed, balanced their adventures with a sense of camaraderie. The bright costumes and cosmic adventures were distinct and unique to them. But Trank's vision contradicted this original tone. He wanted something realistic and dark, with a modern twist that heavily relied on science. There were no costumes, but muted attire was worn, and the lack of sibling vibe between the team painted a different picture than the original comics. Despite all of Trank's planning and effort, the film largely failed to bring his vision to life. Studio interference and production problems. Between 2012 and 2014, Fox Studios faced tremendous pressure in an environment where Marvel was releasing hit after hit and Disney's MCU was dominating the global box office. The studio secured the film rights to Fantastic Four from Marvel in the early 1990s, and to ensure they retained their rights, avoiding Marvel from regaining them, they had to release another film from the franchise within a set window of time. But that was not all. The studio had to address more challenges. They needed to create a franchise that could rival the MCU by earning mind-blowing numbers at the box office. They also had to focus on shifting the film from its niche sci-fi into the mainstream superhero world. To help them navigate their ship through the ocean of challenges, the studio hired Josh Trank in 2012. Trank envisioned a gritty and grounded, darker take, with the style leaning more towards Batman Begins. However, screenwriter Jeremy Slater's view contradicted this, aiming for an Avengers style. This creative difference quickly sparked tension. Fox producers reportedly interfered during the shooting and revision of the script. Trank also lost control in pre-production as the studio took over completely. He lamented on social media with a tweet which he later deleted. "A year ago, I had a fantastic version. You'll probably never see it." According to the reports, after completing completing principal photography in August 2014, Fox did not like the sullen version of Trank's cut and decided to reshoot and have a different ending under committee control. Fox executives were also unimpressed with the film's morose tone and unfinished finale. They reduced the budget by approximately $30 million during the entire process, which impacted the film's production. The stand-in writers were brought in by Fox, and their scenes were shot independently. The re-edit was rushed, which created a mismatched tone. The reshoots resulted in technical and aesthetic flaws. The audience could point out many such flaws, and the most prominent one among them was Kate Mara wearing a strikingly cheap reshoot wig, a common inconsistency blunder seen in films like this. The film's poor performance at the box office can be attributed to both Fox's legal urgency and Trank's uncompromising personality, according to industry analysts. Collapsed vision. What was lost in the final cut? From the very beginning, Josh Trank set out to make a darker, moodier Fantastic Four film with rich character dynamics. His original cut was reportedly 120 to 140 minutes long, but the version released in theaters was approximately 100 minutes. So what did we, as the audience, lose in the outcome? Let's find out. The studio interference resulted in the removal of major action sequences. In one such scene, the Thing was shown jumping from a stealth aircraft into a rebel camp. The scene was action-packed, featuring blazing guns and the involvement of U.S. Navy SEALs. The studio included some scenes without discussing them with Trank. Ben Grimm was shown playing baseball in his childhood and teen years. It underscored his grounded quality, which Trank originally wanted for all the characters. Victor's persona and name were changed during the reshoots, and he became Von Doom instead of Victor Domashev. Trank's original cut showcased the sibling-like bond between the team members, which was missing in the theatrical release. The audience didn't get to see Reed's flying car, the Fantasticar, and scenes where the team practiced their powers in lab settings, which were a part of Trank's vision. The third act of the film was heavily reshot. It resulted in inconsistencies with details, such as Miles Teller's facial hair. Reddit anecdotes suggest that Trank's version was more strategic, where every superhero uses their power to defeat Doom tactically, but the final cut came with poor CGI and a sped-up version. Trank's final cut would have been focused on trauma and deeper emotional arcs, along with body horror and a dark tone. Although some suspect that this cut never existed, Toby Kebbell, who played Dr. Doom, confirmed that Trank's cut was a great film that you will never see. He also confirmed that it was much darker than the theatrical release. Jeremy Slater also confirmed that the original script was barely present in the final cut after the heavy reshoots. We can thus say that Trank's cut could have been tinged with horror mutations, character-driven, and sci-fi focused. Planet Zero could have been visually more terrifying, with red skies and alien geology. It could also have utilized the discarded score, which heightened tension and dread, and perhaps the hints towards sequels. Tone and character missteps. The original comics and earlier films of the franchise had a humorous tone and familial dynamic. However, the 2015 release was a complete contrast, featuring a dramatic tonal shift. It was dark, gritty, and moody. The use of a muted color palette to emphasize the tone made it inert and aesthetically drab, according to critics. Todd McCarthy of The Hollywood Reporter opined that the film's visual style was unattractive, gloomy, and dark. Even a talented cast, including Kate Mara, Miles Teller, Michael B. Jordan, and Jamie Bell, couldn't effectively highlight their chemistry in this situation. The lack of a connection between team members was pointed out by many, including IGN. Even the bond between Mara and Jordan, who were siblings, felt artificial, and the characters had minimal interaction with each other. The same applies to the action scenes, which felt disconnected. An example of this is the lack of emotional resonance shown by Reed's character while using his power of elastic stretching. The unsatisfactory trailer killed the anticipation in the fan community. The film had the potential to perform better given its sci-fi origin, but the dull industrial aesthetic and gloomy energy meant that the efforts fell short. The film also had pacing issues and continuity errors. Rolling Stone's Peter Travers criticized the film heavily for those mistakes, calling it worse than worthless. The realism worked brilliantly in films like The Dark Knight and Logan, but failed in Fantastic Four. The darkness should have aided in character development, but instead, it masked it. The film never discovered positive elements such as bond, discovery, and hope. The earlier movies, released between 2005 and 2007, celebrated fun, flirtation, and family. Fans cherished those aspects and expected the third film to follow the same lead. This reboot had the visuals, but no heart. Other movies, such as Logan, were centered around the father-son bond and enhanced emotional depth. Batman Begins and Man of Steel were the rays of hope in a dark world. And thus, despite being gritty superhero films, they worked. On the contrary, Fantastic Four was not concerned about the emotional arc, the poor character development of the antagonist, or the lack of team spirit and a deeper bond between team members. Fallout. Reception, box office, and franchise future. After crossing the bumpy road, Fantastic Four was finally released, with an estimated production budget of $120 million, but it grossed only $167.9 million worldwide. The share of domestic business in this figure was only $56.1 million. The opening weekend earned $25.6 million in North America, which fell short of expectations. And in its second weekend, the revenue dropped further by about 69%. These shocking numbers made it the second biggest box office flop of 2015, with Tomorrowland holding the top spot. The film also faced embarrassment and industry backlash. It was not only nominated, but also received multiple Golden Raspberry Awards, which honor the worst cinematic failures. This reboot also received the award for Worst Director and Worst Picture. Critics pointed out its unengaging characters, poor tone, and ineffective execution. The negative reception of the film not only embarrassed Fox, but also impacted the studio's future plans regarding the franchise. A sequel was scheduled for 2017, but it was officially canceled. The disaster effectively ended the continuation of the Fantastic Four legacy with no future installments. After Disney acquired 21st Century Fox on March 20th, 2019, Marvel Studios regained the rights to Fantastic Four. In 2019, Marvel announced that a reboot was in development and was integrated into the MCU, with a fresh cast including Pedro Pascal playing Reed Richards, Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm, and Eben Moss-Bacharach as Ben Grimm. The film is scheduled to release on July 25th, 2025. Set in the 1960s era, the Fantastic Four: First Steps aims to evoke retro-futuristic vibes. The early reviews have applauded its emotional depth, design, and its ability to maintain a close connection with the original source material. The colorful aesthetics and powerful CGI also gained attention. Marvelous verdict. In the end, Fantastic Four became an example of egos, creative clashes, and a lack of leadership, with a dismal score of only 9% on Rotten Tomatoes and criticism bombarding it. The movie failed to launch a new cinematic universe. Josh Trank's career took a major blow, and Fox was forced to cancel the announced sequel. However, we don't have to worry about the end of a potential franchise, as Marvel has regained its rights. Now, a new movie is on its way, promising a compelling plot, execution, and visuals under the direction of Matt Shack. Let us know your thoughts on the 2015 Fantastic Four reboot and your expectations for the upcoming reboot in the comments. And we look forward to seeing you in the next one. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.